You know that feeling when someone dismisses your entire future with one sentence? Like they can just decide what you're capable of before you've even started? Yeah, I didn't just know that feeling. I lived in it for 3 years. It was a Wednesday morning, one of those gray February days where even the office fluorescent lights seemed depressed. When Marcus said it, we were in the break room, that cramped space with the coffee maker that always smelled vaguely burnt. And I'd just mentioned I was working on a project after hours. Nothing crazy, just this inventory management system I thought could streamline our whole warehouse operation. Marcus actually laughed, not like a chuckle, a full laugh, head back, hand on the counter for support. You're just a dreamer, Ryan, he said, loud enough that Jennifer from accounting looked up from her sad desk salad. Stick to data entry. Leave the real work to people who know what they're doing. My face went hot. You know that moment where your brain simultaneously wants to say 15 different things and also completely shut down? I just stood there, holding my reheated leftovers, while Marcus walked out, still chuckling. Here's the thing about Marcus. He was the warehouse operations manager, my manager, and he'd been there for 12 years. He had this whole energy of, I've seen 1,000 people like you come and go. Every idea got the same treatment, a condescending smile, maybe a pat on the shoulder if he was feeling generous, and a reminder to focus on your actual job. But that day, that specific dismissal, something shifted. I went back to my desk, this corner spot near the loading dock where you could hear every forklift beep and every frustrated driver yelling about dock space, and I just stared at my screen. Data entry, row after row of product codes and quantities. The system we used was from like 2008, crashed twice a week, and required 17 steps to do what should take 3. And Marcus thought this was where I belonged. Looking back, I should probably thank him, because that laugh, that became fuel. I started staying late. Not obvious about it. I'd leave at 5 like normal, grab dinner, then come back around 7 when the building was mostly empty except for the night shift guys. Security guy named Dennis didn't care. We'd talk about his daughter's soccer games while he let me back in. My project, the one Marcus had laughed about, it was actually pretty solid. I'd been teaching myself Python for about a year, watching YouTube tutorials on my phone during lunch breaks, practicing on free coding sites at home. The inventory system I wanted to build would integrate our warehouse data with sales projections, automatically flag reorder points, and reduce the manual checking Marcus's team did every single day. 3 months in, I had a working prototype. Nothing fancy, but it worked on my laptop. I tested it with old data I'd exported, and it literally cut a 4-hour process down to about 8 minutes. I showed it to my cubicle neighbor, Aisha. She did data entry too, but she'd studied computer science before dropping out to help with family stuff. Smart as hell. She looked at my code for maybe 10 minutes, then just said, Ryan, this is actually good. Like, really good. Should I show Marcus? I asked. She gave me this look. Are you kidding? He'll either steal it or kill it. Probably both. She was right, but I wasn't ready to believe it yet. 2 weeks later, I did it anyway. Requested a meeting, sent him a demo video, the whole thing. Professional. I even wore a button-up shirt to work instead of my usual hoodie. Marcus watched about 40 seconds of the video. I know because I could see the timestamp when he paused it. This isn't your job, he said, not even looking at me. He was doing that thing where he'd organize papers on his desk while talking, like you weren't worth his full attention. Data entry is your job. You want to move up? Put in your time? Learn the warehouse? Maybe in 5, 6 years, we can talk about analyst positions? But this could save the company. Ryan. He finally looked up. That smile again. You've been here, what, 2 years? You think you understand our operation better than people who've been doing this for over a decade? That's cute. But it's also naive. Focus on what you're good at. I left his office with my laptop bag feeling like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Here's what I didn't know. Jennifer from accounting had seen my demo. I'd left it running on my screen during a bathroom break, and she'd walked by to drop something off. She didn't say anything to me, but she apparently said something to her husband, who was a product manager at a mid-sized tech company, who happened to be looking for supply chain optimization solutions. I got an email 3 weeks later, professional address, proper signature line, asking if I'd be willing to discuss the inventory management solution I'd been developing. They'd heard about it through mutual connections. I stared at that email for probably 20 minutes. My hands were shaking, like actual trembling, couldn't click the mouse shaking. This felt like a scam, or a prank, or something. Aisha leaned over the cubicle wall. You good? You look like you've seen a ghost. I showed her the email. Holy shit, she whispered. Ryan, this is it. This is your shot. But here's the thing about being told you're just a dreamer for years. You start believing it. I almost didn't respond. Almost deleted it. Almost convinced myself it was a mistake. I responded at 11 p.m. that night, after rewriting the email probably 15 times. They wanted to meet, in person. At a coffee shop downtown, not even in an office, which somehow made it feel more real. The product manager, David, was this 40-something guy in a Patagonia vest who ordered a black coffee and got straight to business. Show me what it can do, he said. I opened my laptop right there, hands still shaking a bit, and walked him through it. The interface, the predictive algorithms, the integration possibilities. I'd practiced this presentation in my bathroom mirror for 3 days straight. David watched in silence, took notes, asked technical questions I mostly could answer. Then he closed his notebook and said, "How married are you to your current job?" My heart stopped. Literally felt like it stopped. I'm listening? Turns out they didn't just want to license my system. They wanted to hire me to build it out properly. Real developer position, actual salary, like 3 times what I was making doing data entry, benefits, equity, the whole thing. I need 2 weeks to think about it, I said, trying to sound professional when what I really wanted to do was scream yes immediately. David smiled. Take your time. But Ryan, this is good work. Don't let anyone tell you it's not. I gave my notice on a Thursday. 2 weeks, professional, even offered to help train my replacement. Marcus called me into his office the same day. What's this about? He was holding my resignation letter like it personally offended him. I got another opportunity, I said. My voice was steady. I'd practiced this too. Doing what? Data entry somewhere else for 50 cents more an hour? That laugh again. Smaller this time, but still there. Actually, I'll be a software developer. Building inventory management systems. His face did something interesting. Confusion, then recognition, then something that looked almost like anger. That project you showed me? Someone actually bought that? Not exactly. They hired me to build the real version. I wish I could say he looked proud, or even just neutral. But no. Marcus leaned back in his chair, that same condescending smile creeping back. Well, good luck with that. Most people wash out of those positions pretty fast. Too much pressure. You'll probably be back in 6 months. I didn't say anything, just nodded, left his office, and finished out my 2 weeks. The new job was intense. Not gonna lie. There were nights I stayed until 9, mornings I woke up at 5 to debug before anyone else got in. But I wasn't drowning. I was building something real. 6 months in, David pulled me aside. We're expanding the team. I want you to help interview for 2 developer positions. A year in, I was leading the team, 4 developers under me, building out the full platform. We landed 3 major clients in the first quarter. 18 months in, David called me into his office, the big one with the windows overlooking downtown. How do you feel about a promotion? We're creating a director of product development role. Director? At 28, leading a team of 12, making more money than I'd ever imagined when I was doing data entry in that corner desk by the loading dock. But here's where it gets good. 2 years in, we were scouting for clients. David had this whole strategy of targeting mid-size manufacturing and distribution companies that were still using outdated systems. Company's exactly like my old one. What about Meridian Distribution? I said during a pipeline meeting. That was my old company, Marcus's company. David pulled up their info. Decent size, definitely in our target market. You have connections there? Something like that. We reached out, professional, through proper channels, requested a meeting with their operations leadership to discuss supply chain optimization. They accepted. The meeting was scheduled for a Tuesday afternoon. I wore my navy suit, the nice one I'd bought after my promotion. David and I walked into that same building I'd entered hundreds of times before, but this time through the front entrance instead of the employee door. The conference room was on the third floor, windows on two sides, long table, that corporate art that every office has. Marcus was already there, sitting at the head of the table with two other managers I vaguely recognized. He looked up when we walked in. I watched his face cycle through about 6 different emotions in 3 seconds. Confusion, recognition, more confusion, disbelief. Something that might have been panic, then forced neutrality. Ryan, he said slowly, I didn't realize you'd be here. Marcus. I smiled. Warm, professional, exactly the way you're supposed to smile in business meetings. Good to see you. This is David Chen, our VP of Product. I'm Director of Product Development. I could see him doing the math. Director. 2 years. The project he'd dismissed. David launched into the presentation. Professional, polished, but I handled the technical demo. My system, fully built out now, doing everything I'd promised and more. Live data integration, predictive analytics, real-time reporting, the works. Marcus asked questions, tried to sound skeptical, but I could hear it in his voice. He knew this was exactly what they needed. Their current system was probably even worse than when I'd left. After the demo, David excused himself to take a call, left me and Marcus and the other managers in the room. This is really what you've been building? One of the other managers asked. For the past 2 years, yeah. We've got 8 major clients now, companies your size, similar challenges. Marcus was quiet, just sitting there, hands folded on the table, staring at the laptop still showing the demo screen. Finally, he spoke. I should have looked at it properly. When you showed me. Yeah, I said, no anger in my voice, just fact. You should have. Would you have stayed? If I'd supported it? I thought about that, really thought about it. Honestly? Probably not. I needed to leave to become who I needed to be. But you could have made it less hard. One of the other managers looked between us, clearly confused. Marcus just nodded slowly. They signed with us 3 weeks later. 6-figure contract, year-long implementation. I assigned one of my senior developers to the account as lead, but I stayed involved. Professional courtesy. Plus, I won't lie. It felt good walking through those halls wearing a suit instead of a hoodie, solving problems instead of entering data. Dennis, the security guard, stopped me one day during an on-site meeting. Ryan? That you? Hey Dennis, how's your daughter's soccer going? Made varsity. He looked at my badge, the visitor one that said director. You did good, kid. Really good. Thanks for letting me back in all those nights. He grinned. I knew you were up to something good. Implementation took 8 months. I did quarterly check-ins, made sure everything was running smoothly. Marcus was professional during our meetings, never warm, but not hostile. Just diminished somehow. Like he'd gotten smaller. Last time I was there, about 4 months ago, I ran into Aisha. She'd moved up to a senior analyst position, was doing well. You're a legend around here, she said, laughing. Everyone knows the story. Data entry guy who built the system that Marcus said would never work. How is Marcus? She shrugged. Same job. Probably will be for the next decade. But hey, at least he's got a good inventory system now. I think about that day in the break room sometimes. Marcus laughing, telling me I was just a dreamer. How small I felt. How close I came to believing him. Here's the thing. He wasn't completely wrong. I was a dreamer. Still am. But dreams plus code plus stubbornness plus a little bit of spite, that's a pretty good formula. My team's at 18 people now. We're expanding into predictive maintenance systems. I've got venture capital firms reaching out. David keeps joking that I'm going to start my own company and steal all his developers. He might not be wrong. Last week, I got a LinkedIn message from Marcus, professional, congratulating me on a promotion announcement. Asked if I'd be open to a coffee sometime. I haven't responded yet. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. But if I do, I'm picking the coffee shop.